Hi, my name is Mike Sears, and today we're going to talk about the liquid crystal display that's right in the middle of your tachometer and your speedometer. So if you'll go with me over here, I usually have this set to the outside temperature because it's the only place that the outside temperature is displayed in the vehicle. So on delivery, that's typically where you'll find it. When people come in for oil changes, it's usually still right there. But you need to know how to use it, because sometimes I'll get a telephone call because someone will ask me how come there's a little H in this particular location, and I'll walk them through it just like I will you or anybody else in terms of turning it off. But there's some other nice value in terms of this particular gauge and how I use it in my G. Okay, if we can back away just a little bit, I'm going to reach in here. You can see my finger on this top lever, and what that essentially is, that's a piece of paper, and that's going to be significant later because we're going to use this one to cycle through the displays. We're going to use this bottom dot to reset certain items within the gauge cluster itself. Okay, so if we can see right now, we have outside temperature, and when I push this top button, then we get into a different menu, and down here you can see the dot. It says next. So whenever you want to go farther into a screen, just hit the dot button, which was the lower one. If you want to either exit or enter wherever you're at, you hit enter. So as I hit the dot and go next, it goes down to alert, then maintenance, then display, back up, and if I want to escape, I hit the enter button and it'll just take me out. Okay, now to show you what I was talking about in terms of cycling you all the way around, that's the best way to get out, is just to continue to hit that particular button. Alright, we're going to hit it, and we're going to go back into the settings screen, and then we're going to go down into alert by hitting the dot, and then we're going to hit enter. Down here, the first option is time to rest. And typically, this is one that I'm not real fond of in terms of trying to use or even teach how to use, because it's, like I said, it's just a little bit, I think we know when to rest. Okay, so, but we're going to hit the envelope part again where it says enter to go back. Then we're going to go down by the dot button to icy. And this would essentially just allow you to turn off the function that tells you that it is icy when the temperature gets down to a certain setting. We're going to exit out of this because I don't think you're going to use anything in these two, but in case you're out wandering and exploring, just like I encourage you to do in all of the videos, you know, you just need to know how to get back. Now, we're going to go down to maintenance, and I'm going to hit enter and go inside here, because we had on another video in our multi-function gauge over by the navigation screen and the audio and the climate control, we had engine and oil and tire rotation reminders. This is another area that can be used, and a lot of technicians like to use this particular button to set or reset in the case of you having an oil change here. And it's not my favorite location to do it, and I might bounce back for a refresher course to show you what I like best. But if you just leave these in the dashes, you can rely on your larger, easier to see display, which for people like me, again, that comes in handy. Okay, we're going to hit the enter button, essentially, and it will just go back to get us out of it completely. We can do the same thing for oil filter and tire and other, just like in the other gauge. And again, we will review this before we quit because it's only take a minute. Okay, so now the next screen is going to be, it's kind of like the old Cadillacs. It's instant miles per gallon. So as you go and you know, you're driving along, you'll be able to see that, boom, I'm getting 60 miles to the gallon, then I'm getting 0 or 10. Not used very often, so we'll continue to go around that one. I like this feature. This feature tells us how many miles per gallon we're getting at an average speed of X. One of the things that I like to use it for is when I'm on a long trip, I hit reset, and usually after I get gas, And you know, you still have your A and B down here, so you can still use those, but they're just like that, just like old-fashioned ones. It's nice. Infiniti still kept those. But here with your if you're traveling at an average speed of 65 miles an hour, you'll be able to tell how many miles per gallon you got at that particular speed. And if you hit this button again, you'll see the time elapsed, and in this case it's the time elapsed since it was last set, which is always going to be the case. And then the miles, total miles driven since it was reset. So we're going to reset that as well. So I like to reset both of these. And that way it's really fun to know that when you're driving around town and your average speed is 22 miles an hour and maybe your average fuel economy is 18, and you can compare that, and you can actually even record it in the other screen, which we'll touch base on again. So we're going to hit this go around, and we have distance to empty. Distance to empty is displayed easily 3 different areas or techniques in all Infinitis. Doesn't matter if you're in a G25 or if you're in a QX56, essentially they're all the same. Go back one more time, we're back through our cycle to outside temperature. If you have an M, we're in a G right now by the way, if we have an M or if we have a QX56, you'll see a little temperature displayed up here so that when you're in these other gauges, part of it is dedicated to that. But again, typically what I'm going to see is I'm going to see a customer come in for an oil change and they're still going to have outside temp. Now the reason why they're going to use that is we're going to go back over here to the multifunction screen and just have a quick review of the information settings, and we'll hit enter. And then what we're going to see is the same information, but it's a lot larger. So if I hit reset here, and I have reset on the other little gauge, everything's going to be synced exactly the way it should be. Now, if I want to go in and view my history, and let's say it was one of those trips where, or let's just say I'm getting ready to do a trip and I want to store my fuel economy while I was driving around town. I cannot set it from here. What I can view it, but I can't set it. In my car, all of these are filled. So what you do is you have to hit the back button and then go up here, and then that's when you reset this, it resets those bars. Here you also have instant fuel economy, which is kind of fun. And it's a lot easier to read than it is in the gauge in the instrument cluster. We're going to go ahead and we're going to back out of this completely. We're going to go into maintenance. And then here is where I like to have my reminders. I have more control over them in a lot easier way. So I can go down here and I can change the interval to 3750, which is what typically they come from the factory with. And I can hit enter. I can go down here and I can turn it on. And the nice thing about that is I can also turn it off if I like to read the little label in the window. So we hit back and we can see, just like we saw on the other screen, we have one for oil filter, tire, rotation, and then other reminder. And that might be for your 15K service or something of that nature. One more thing I'd like to cover is that when we go back, and we can either back all the way out, or you've seen me do before, just hit status or map if you have navigation to get out where you're used to seeing. This status button is the best place that, well, I shouldn't say it's the best. It's the best for me. This is where I like to see what my distance to empty is. I hit that. My distance to empty is always right there. And then my average fuel economy. Now, obviously, we just reset it. But that's it. Just boom, boom. Now, if you have an M, you have to hit it twice because you have climate control, distance to empty, and then you'll have a little blurb on your navigation, and then back to status. And that's it. So thanks a lot, and we'll do another video. Probably next one will be maybe on intelligent cruise control. See you next time.